Hey, welcome back to God Wings. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you
Ashley,
doing?
woo! It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's crazy to think that it's 2026 and we started this in what, 2024?
Yeah, we did. This is our second season, and we decided to return. I actually had to pray about it. I wasn't sure. And then I really felt that God said, keep doing what you're doing. A few folks said to me in passing, well, what's your goal? What's your goal for this? And honestly, and I'm really trying to continue to keep this in that place, which is to honor God and to trust Him in every facet of this and to keep Him the center. That's our goal. And we will grow at the pace that God allows. As long as we can keep doing this, we can keep doing it. But the funny thing, selfishly, hasn't it fed you, Ashley?
Oh my gosh,
I
yes.
feel like sometimes these guests that come on, the conversations we have, I'm like, maybe this is just for us, I don't know. But I also hear from folks that they are blessed by what they're hearing.
I
So,
agree.
how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's thus far?
Oh my goodness. My Christmas was amazing. It was magical. It was beautiful. It was a little bit insane, and it's actually not over yet. We have one more Christmas this Friday.
Really? With
Yeah,
friends or family?
with family. So we still haven't celebrated with my dad's side of the family. So we're going to do that this Friday. And it is currently January the 13th that we're taping this. So
Yes.
the second week of January, it'll be the last Christmas that we have. So we're
That's beautiful.
excited. We're gonna do that. But it was wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I saw my siblings, I saw my grandmother, and on my mother's side of the family, we actually went up to the mountains and spent time with them. So just everything about it was wonderful. And it finally got a little bit chilly here in South Carolina, which never happened. So it felt a little bit more festive than normal. So what about you guys?
Same. We had a beautiful Christmas locally and we didn't travel. We stayed here. We entertained my husband's side of the family. So that was a blast. We had kids in the house and we had popcorn and playing piano and we just had a great time. I always get a little anxious, like, oh, we gotta cook, we gotta get all the sides all together. But it always comes together. Like it
Yes.
always comes together. I don't know why I think like it's not going to.
Right.
But it was beautiful. We were blessed to have so much, joy around us.
No, do
But
you play the piano?
I do play the piano.
Yeah.
A fun fact, my parents were so incredible. They bought me a piano when I was 9 years old. I started at that point to learn by ear. Some of you out there might recognize that it's called the Suzuki method. And you learn by ear. You also learn how to read notes, but you predominantly really lean on listening to the music by ear first, and then you move into learning the notes. And I did that for several years. The funny thing is when you learn that way, it does sort of slow down the reading. It's really focused on the listening of the music. I walked away from that maybe 15 years old, 14 years old, and I look back now and I wish I had never walked away from it, but I got into other things. I loved horses. And anyway, as I became older, I missed it. And whenever I would see a piano, I'd, sit down and just, what do they say? Tickle the ivories. And my husband, this is actually a really beautiful story. One day I go to the grocery store and I come back and I don't go through the house. For some reason, I go through the kitchen and I go out to the patio and he's got a cornhole set up, like, cornhole. This is around
Yeah, the
kind of
game.
near COVID,
Yeah.
actually. And so I'm like, oh, let's play cornhole. And so he's like, oh, I'm missing one of the bean bags. Can you go into the living room and get the other bean bag? I think it's there. I'm like, oh, okay. Open up the door and I go in. And in the center of the living room is a new piano. He got a beautiful piano in a really neat auction program. It was a musical program where they donate pianos to the musical program, and he got in touch with them and got a good deal. And anyway, it was amazing. So,
That's so cool, and that's the piano that I think we've probably seen, in the
yeah,
background.
yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the most beautiful, thoughtful gifts ever, ever, ever. And what it was, it's not just like this material gift. It was the gift of music. It was the gift of awakening something that I loved as a kid, and kind of going back and learning. relearning how to read music. So I've been studying for a few years now. And let me tell you, it's not easy for me, but I love it. It's therapeutic. It makes me write when I just sit down and try to read the music. And I love it. So he gave me that. It was just really special.
That's wonderful. It's so great when you can have really thoughtful gifts. Very timely story too with Christmas ending.
I know.
I was trying to put so much thought into my gifts, and I'm like, I hope they like them.
Yeah, I know. But isn't it so much more fun to give? It's just so
Oh,
much
yeah.
more fun to give.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also want to say that I'm really glad to see your Christmas tree up in the background because I still also have a Christmas tree that I need to take
Well,
down.
isn't it great? Like, I took the ornament see, if you can see behind me, I have just
Uh-huh.
a tree just lit with white lights. It is something that is so, like I just love looking at it. In the morning,
Yeah,
sometimes it'll still be on, and I can see it from my little sunroom, and it's so it's so pretty. I love
just
it.
leave it up.
I am. I'm gonna have to take it down in
Yeah.
February because then I'm like, "Okay, now I kinda look lazy."
Yeah. Oh my God.
I get why people put them up because or keep them up rather.
They have like they'll decorate it for Easter and Valentine's Day and 4th of July.
I know. I get it.
I get it.
Honestly, it's so pretty to come home at night and see the lights. It just
Yeah,
warms your heart.
it really is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, just wanting to celebrate and be festive all year long. So,
Agreed. By the way, I think it was over the Christmas vacation,
hmm
you won a few awards.
oh my gosh.
Yes. Many people ask me, well, who is Ashley Crane to you? How do you know Ashley? I'm like, well, we go way back. We met in acting class, but Ashley is a very dedicated filmmaker, producer, actress. She does it all. And she has been involved in something called the 48-hour film project. And it's not only in the United States, but it's globally.
Yeah.
And it is a competition that you write and you shoot and you edit all in one day. Tell us
Mhm.
about what it is and what you were nominated for and what you won.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so the 48-hour film project started off in Washington, D.C., and it has just expanded. It's 25 years old. And they have competitions in, I think, almost 200 cities around the world. So it's a very cool thing. You win your city, so you compete within your city. And then once you win that, you go to compete internationally. And each city has a city producer who's in charge of that competition. And I just happen to be the city producer for all of South Carolina, so the whole state. And we all said, hey, it's not fair that city producers can't compete. So they put together a competition specifically for us. All the city producers from around the entire world competed, and we did exactly what we help people do. We wrote, shot, and edited a short film in 48 hours. So it started Friday evening, and we had to turn it in by Sunday night. And let me say, it was just the most wonderful experience. And we talk so much on this podcast about community and how important community is, not
Yes.
just, for creatives, but spiritually. And I'm just so, so thankful for the incredible community of creatives and filmmakers and artists in this area because we just had, God wink after God wink. I'll share a God wink right now with this.
Great.
It's so cool how there's God winks and everything. So, but yeah, so we had this location that we were going to shoot in, and it kind of fell through at the last minute. But one of our actors happens to be the curator at a museum. It's the Cherokee County Museum in South Carolina, and it's a little museum, but it's absolutely fabulous. It's got some wonderful Revolutionary War exhibits and a really cool science area, so many things. And so we showed up for the location scout, and he said, hey, if you go back in that closet, there's actually some really cool old costumes, like 1800s period costumes. And I was like, great. So I kind of peeked in, I saw a rack of them, and I was like, oh, great, there's some costumes if we need them. And I closed the door and I didn't think much of it. And then our script ended up needing 1800 costumes. And so I got there the next day and I said, okay, well, at least we have these costumes. We have this wardrobe. And I go back there and I only needed 2 dresses for 2 women. And then I needed 1 costume for the male. And I go in and I look at this rack and it is all men's suits. There are 2 dresses. And I said, no, what have I done? So I pull those 2 dresses and I go to the other actress and I say, all right, let's just go try these on. And so she tried on one, I tried on the other. And they both fit. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so then there was like a kids dress up area, and we went and we got like an apron and we got like some other things to like go with these dresses. And we went to the director and we said, "Hey, what do you think about these dresses?" And he said, and I said, "Well, before you get too much further, these are your only options." And well, I guess they're great then. And I said, "I guess they are." So it was really funny, and we filmed and we've shot we did our film, we turned it in, and we don't think much of it. And lo and behold, we win Best Costume Design
Hilarious. Yeah.
among 7 other awards, and then we were nominated for, I think 4 that we didn't win. So it was just such a great experience, and it's so funny how little things like that happen, and that's why I love filmmaking, I love being so creative is because there's so much problem solving that goes into it. Even when you're acting, and you're breaking down a script, there's problem solving, like, why is this character the way that they are? What's going on in this scene? What is this relationship like?
Right.
And I
Right.
feel like being an actor helps me learn so much more about people and the way that they think. And then I feel like when I'm in these creative collaborative situations, I'm able to like go back to that time I was breaking down this character that I didn't quite understand. And I think it helps me with my interpersonal relationships, especially in such a collaborative media.
Well, and it's really true. I mean, we always see when we were in class together, we used to talk all about, especially with Penny, what was our driving question? And, when I was on every soap opera, because those were scenes you could do 14 to 15 to 27 scenes a day, whatever it would be. And each scene you had to think about, what is the scene about? What do I want from the other character? What's the situation I'm walking into? It wasn't always just about me. It was always about sort of what the writer needed from the scene. And Penny would always talk about that and breaking down the scenes. But you know what's funny is like we kind of do that automatically. Like I always say, like when I go in the grocery store, I have a driving question.
Yeah.
How can I get out of here in about 5 minutes?
Under $100.
Under $100 and not like, get distracted. And so that has a certain energy to it, and, that is what you do in acting. That's like how you approach so much. It's not just like you read it and go. I mean, you do, but you don't. You have to kind of think about what's happening. I
Exactly.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think if you want to have a perspective. So wait, how many awards did you win?
Okay, so we won 8 total. We won
8 total.
2nd place best film, which somebody was like, "That's not an award." And I'm like, "Well, they gave me a certificate for it." So
That is. So, okay. You weren't first, but you were
so
second.
we were on the podium, okay?
Okay. Very nice.
So that we got 2nd place audience choice, and then we got 2nd place city producer choice. So those are both voting awards.
Great.
We got best sound design, best costumes, like I said, best production design,
Wow.
which was fabulous and very, I mean, it was all well
And
earned,
by the
but
way, was this a short or how
this
long
is
was
a
your
short.
piece?
Yeah,
This is short.
so your films have to be between 4 and 7 minutes long.
4 to 7 minutes long. And any subject? I mean, is there any parameters on that?
Yes, there's parameters. So that's what makes it a competition is on Friday evening, they send you the genre that you can pick. So they send you 2 genres. So we got fantasy or apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic. So you had 2 genres that you could choose from. We went fantasy. And then they send you a character name and job. So we got a character who had to be a botanist. So that was my character. And one of the dress that I found had little flowers on it. So it was like perfect for a
Perfect.
botanist. Oh, it was great. And then they send you a prop that you have to use. Ours was a clock. And then they send you a line of dialogue that you have to use. But that's how they make sure that people don't cheat. And so when
Yeah, because if you're prepared, you could maybe think of something cool. It's all meant to like keep you on your toes.
yeah, exactly. And then when you win your city or your competition, then you go on internationally. So last year, it's called Filmopalooza. And last year, it was in Seattle, Washington, and it was so much fun. We had the best time. This year, we're going to Lisbon. So I will be in Portugal, and I am so, so excited to go. It'll be really fun.
How
Yeah.
many
So
people do you think will show up for that to compete
to compete.
in Lisbon?
So it's all of the award-winning films. Lisbon is kind of like the all the winners are
All the winners?
competing. So they're just taking the films that they already won with and coming with it.
Okay, and then they'll compare and contrast.
Exactly. So there'll be about 100, I think there's about 130. There's about
Wow.
130 something films that will be competing, yeah, and then I think if you win, then you get invited to, like, another competition that can go to the Cannes Film Festival, so that's where the filmmakers really get excited is because you have the opportunity to go to Cannes.
So you do get like a spot on that platform
Yes, and
in
so
Cannes.
and everybody gets like like an award just because you won your city, but then you can win, like, even more awards by going to Lisbon, so, it's
This
not
is really
another
sounding like a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it's a blast. We had the best time. The networking was fun. They had workshops and all kinds of things. I got to meet some really cool comedy writers. It was just a blast. We toured a studio. So this year we're going to Portugal. So I'm so excited.
Love it.
Other than getting to go to the Cannes Film Festival. Oh, what I love about it too, and I work for another film festival, and so I watch films all day, every day, and then I, rate them, and then we select them, and then they go on to get judged, and they come to our festival. And so I attend a lot of film festivals. And what I love about the 48 is that when you're watching all of these films at Filmapalooza, you're sitting there and it's like 3 straight days of just, like, watching films, but they're all what I love about them is that everybody kind of maybe they didn't start from the same place, maybe some filmmaker had a better camera or better access to more experienced actors or a more experienced crew, but they all have to be between 4 and 7 minutes. They all had a genre that they didn't choose. They all had a line, a character, and a prop that they didn't choose. And so it's cool because it kind of levels the playing field and it just makes it more interesting because it's like, what did you do with your 7 minutes? What did you do with your 7 minutes? And so I love it. And I don't know, it's a special kind of film competition. So I appreciate you asking and I'm really thankful that we won. And I'm so thankful for our community because we can't do anything without our community. I mean, I didn't win these awards by myself, you know what I mean?
So
These
your
guys are
team
amazing.
that you did those 7 minutes with, you are all together in South Carolina. You
We're
have
all
a group that
together.
you work with and that are all
Yes.
okay, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and I work with a lot of these people all the time and, we do all kinds of things together, so it's just crazy. You think, when you think of filmmaking, you think of LA and New York and Atlanta now and sometimes Louisiana, but filmmakers are popping up all over the place. Access to gear and equipment is much more readily available. Even iPhones can make really fabulous
I know.
videos. So I just love that now everybody's got a camera in their hand and
Yeah,
anybody can be an artist. And so I
right.
just hope people, that's what I always tell actors when they come to me and they're like, "Oh, I want to do, I want to be a screen actor. I don't want to do theater anymore." And I'm always like, "Well, first of all, don't ever stop doing theater." And second of all, you've got a phone in your hand. Film yourself, like film, monologues and things like that. And that's always my
Ooh, that's a good
advice.
idea. That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
definitely.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, what about you? What have you been up to this year? How have you spent your Christmas to New Year's time?
Well, I mean, besides getting a little under the weather with
I
this
know.
ridiculous flu that flew through the country in January, but that was very quick by the grace of God. First of all, I love, love, love the week between Christmas and New Year's. And, you and I were talking about it. It's that one time of year that it seems that you get this under the radar pass to travel, to see family, people don't really know if you're around. It is. It's this weird week, wonderful, wonderful week to get ready for New Year's. A lot of families are together. I absolutely love it because for the new year, I feel like it's a time that the house is still decorated.
Mhm.
You get to rest. All the craziness is calming down, and you can kind of just take a bit of an inventory of really how your last year has been going. And I really do this where I sit and I look at my journals, and generally every one of my journals, because I do notebooks, spiral notebooks for my journals. Those tend to be the way I like to do it because they're quick and I can get going and write. But I look at those journals and I just randomly open them up and I kind of just see what I was writing in January or in February or March or April of the previous year. And, sometimes you see seasons of quick growth, but this year I especially saw God working, out of the communities that I'm in, that the doors opened. And whether it was Bible study, whether it was community back in Hoboken at St. Anne's that I volunteer at once a month for a CCD program, whether it's this podcasts and how we're changing things and how we're growing. And I just love looking at that. And I love the community because it is all about the community. So generally, Growing up, I didn't do so much with Advent. Advent was not a thing in the house. In other words, like the Advent wreath. And Advent is that period of time for Catholics to kind of prepare for the birth of Christ. So this year, I really wrapped my arms around that. I did the Advent challenge. I can't say enough about it. Uh,
Ooh, can you pause and tell us more about what that is?
yeah, it was the challenge. It was where every day for Advent, you would open up your app and there would be a speaker like Chris Pratt, Gwen Stefani, and people that like sort of that you don't expect to be talking about their faith, but leading us through particular materials that help you reflect and help you think about the birth of Christ. But this year, and I want to share with you, and again, this was a book called The Reed of God. She's a British writer. It was published in 1944, and it's a spiritual classic. And it really focuses on Mary, the Mother of God, that she was not a distant figure, but really a reed that we would see like in a musical instrument, open and ready, through which God's love flowed into the world. And so that required an emptiness on Mary's part. And what was really captivating about this book, and again, by the way, I'm not even done with it, and it's in the new year. I'm not done with it because you have to go, it's dense, but
Mhm.
you can understand it, but you just gotta for me, I like to take it a little bit slow, but there's something so powerful in this book that touched me. It talks about this emptiness and not the type of emptiness as we kind of hear. Basically saying that those who complain in these type of circumstances of emptiness in their lives are usually afraid to allow space or silence or pause in their lives, which is why they are empty, but they don't want to hear the stillness.
Mm.
They dread silence because they do not want to hear their own pulses beating out the seconds of their life, and to know that each beat is another knock on the door of death, which is the ultimate silence, this fear of death. So you see, it's kind of heavy, but in a way,
Right.
you have to take it slow.
Yeah.
But this is beautiful. The question that most people ask is, can someone who is already cluttered up by the trivial things get back to this sacred emptiness? And this book goes on to say, yes, yes, you can, because all of those things that are filling the emptiness, the glass, the rubbish, it can be emptied. And it can be emptied when you ask God to do so. And when you slow things down enough to make the purposeful act of being still. And basically, that's what I love to do, especially in January. I mean, don't you find, Ashley, that it's almost like this universal support? Whether it's dry January,
Mhm.
whether you're doing a Daniel fast,
And a lot of churches will do some sort of corporate fast at the beginning of the year.
corporate fast, which is
Yeah.
basically a group fast,
Yeah.
and again, for those of that may not be familiar, it's a fast from meat, from wine, from dairy, from sugar, from basically all the good stuff, and or in some cases, people fast from what would be appropriate in their life, what they need to basically say no to the comforts and
Yeah.
attachments
Right.
that keep them connected to this world and allow that space to
Mhm.
God for God to fill.
That's right.
Have you guys been doing that at your church?
So our church is doing it. I think yes, we started yesterday. And I don't do the Daniel fast because I'm a vegetarian.
Okay.
And so
Right.
and I have like food things. So sometimes when we do the Daniel fast, I will, do my own kind of fast, but I do like to do it with the church.
Mhm.
Because it's a time of prayer, not only for our church, but also for ourselves. And it is nice to kind of set the year up, in a way where it's just really reminding, Christmas is a reflection of Christ and our faith and the reminder that God brought Jesus into this world for the purpose that he did. And it's a time of celebration and just remembering all of the things that you've done this year, and so it's really nice to just kind of refocus and kind of come out of that time of celebration and get back into work mode almost. And that's
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, maybe that's
Well,
just
it is a work mode, and it's funny, whenever I would have, especially being on a soap, working, let's call it working Monday through Friday.
sure, yeah.
I was very disciplined in what I was eating and drinking and not drinking. And when you don't have that excuse, it is a lot harder. It can be
That's
a
true.
lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
almost
it's like
just like
work mode.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and in the same way I love Advent, I'm non-denominational, so Advent wasn't something that we celebrated, but my grandmother is Methodist.
Okay.
And, the Methodists do celebrate Advent, and I think a lot of Protestant churches celebrate Advent, but I guess ours
It's
just
more of like a reference of time, right?
that's
Yeah.
right, it's more of a reference of time, and the thing I do remember about it was, like, the Advent we had Advent candles and then
Calendars.
Advent calendars, and, obviously, Advent calendars are a ton of fun. We had, like, a one that my grandmother had, which was fun. It looked like a little barn, and it had all the
Yeah.
nativity animals in it,
Cute.
but, of course, the older you get, the more you find them at Costco, and so I think last year I had a cheese Advent calendar,
Yeah.
and so it was all these different types of cheeses, and I was pairing them with, like, mustard and honey. It's funny, but I bring it up because I do appreciate advent calendars in the sense that, even if I'm not celebrating it in the traditional sense, it is a wonderful reminder and a build up to why we celebrate Christmas and what
Yeah.
the reason for the season is and
Yeah.
all of those things. So my cheese was delicious this year. I did not do
Yeah.
an advent calendar, but
Yeah, and you know what it is too? It's like you can truly enter Christmas and say, "You know what? I am going to receive Christ, the baby Jesus, the
yeah,
newborn in maybe a different way. Or maybe this year I'm going to get to know him even in a more intimate way." And it's like we could do that every year of our life and still have so much to learn, you know?
definitely. But
So,
yeah, between Advent and Daniel fast,
yeah,
and all these different, like you were saying, there's January is such a time of support. It's like
it's so
everybody comes
supportive
together.
and it just feels good. It feels good. It's like my favorite